And I think it's the height of disrespect to the last planners in construction to not have an effective first planner system. So that, back to your point, we have to have enough detail in pre-construction at a high enough level to where we can then do a pull plan, but enough detail, to your point, where we can align the supply chains. Because it doesn't matter if it's now, before COVID, or 100 years ago. I've done the research. Every job for the last 150 years has had to order things like timber or elevators or exterior curtain wall or tile from Italy well before the project started. It doesn't matter. It's never COVID-19. We had that problem before COVID-19. And if we don't queue up those supply chains, we're in trouble. I really cringe when last planner consultants run around saying, don't do predictive planning. Only do your 6-week look, your pull plan 6-week look ahead, and your weekly work plan. I hate that, because all you're doing is setting up last planners to fail. And so, do we want to get down into the detail of the last planners in pre-con? No. Do we need to have enough understanding of the phase? Absolutely yes. Do we need to understand the zones? Yes. So now topic 2. The problem is, I just recently found out in doing some research, and this is pretty well documented. Like, we talk about Japan, lean, the Toyota production system, but they learned that stuff from us, most of it. And we knew these things in World War II, and we had to ramp up our industrial production machine. And then the war ended, and we forgot our own lessons, right? And Japan took those. They were humble, and the United States wanted them to be an economic power as a democracy, as a buffer to China. And we essentially trained them and funded them. And because they have an island culture with total participation, they implemented all these systems. And so some of the things that they learned was centered around this concept of one piece, one process flow, and also respect for people. But in the United States, we forgot that. And so in the United States, we continued with these beliefs from Frederick Taylor that talked about rushing and pushing and panicking workers, creating piece workers, segregating trades, treating people like they're assets and not human beings. And so we went down one road, Japan went down another, but we actually taught them. And so most superintendents in construction have been taught, you want to go faster, push the people, yell, scream, and panic, bring out more people, work overtime, bring out all the materials to the site, and threaten. Like, that's what everybody's taught. And those are all the wrong things. And so when we attempt to convince a trade partner that says, I want the whole building, give me the whole building, or a super that's like, no, I want massive zones, which happens all the time, we literally, to your point, I like to pull up 2 different things. One is I'll pull up the calculator and show them how the phase stretches in and out based on how you zone it. The other thing is I just type into YouTube and I say batching versus one piece flow. And there's a couple really neat videos, and they look at the video and they're like, what? They were just taught wrong, but they're smart people. And I always joke with them, I'm like, before you came to this earth, before this existence, you were told to batch. When you were born, the doctor slapped you on the backside and said batch. When you went to elementary school, high school, college, they said batch. Your first job, they said batch. Your partner, when you got married, said batch. And then all of a sudden we realized batching in large batch sizes is the worst thing you can do. Doing smaller portions, this is called Little's Law. Holly, you know this. Little's Law says the smaller the batch size, the faster you go. The more level the work, the faster you go. And if you finish as you go, the faster you'll go. That is a science. That is a production law. That is fact. We will never get past that. That's as solid as gravity. And nobody's taught that. So as soon as they see it in that video or that demonstration, then they're like, oh my gosh, you're right. If I do a 10,000 square foot zone and finish, the trade partner behind me gets to come in sooner. And we are QCing and finishing and punching as we go. And we're learning as we go. And one of these days when we have blockchain and we can pay, we'll pay as we go. And we start to understand that zoning a project in the right detail is the key to speed. And here's the one last thing. Consultants go around the world and say, oh, this is how you pull plan. And they pull plan a whole floor or a whole phase. And they're like, let's sequence this. The master schedule is just like large, massive activities. What they've done is they've batched with large batches. And I know for a fact, because we've analyzed like probably at this point thousands of schedules, they are wasting at minimum what I see on average 3 weeks to 3 months of absolutely no reason for it, just wasted time. Just wrong zone sizes without the right level of detail. And there's no reason for it, because in case the listeners in the podcast are like, well, wait a minute, how does that work? Well, if you send a trade partner into a massive area and they've, caution taped the whole area and they're like, stay out, I want the whole floor. Their duration, you will wait for everything that they have to be done until another trade can move in. But if they split that up into segments and they're like, I'm going to release the first 10,000, the second 10,000, then other trades start sooner and the whole project comes together faster. Trades and supers need to understand that it does not matter how fast your fastest trades can go. It matters how fast your slowest trades can go. And trades need to realize that they only do well as everybody does well. So it doesn't matter if you, A-player electrician, can go do a great job. If the drywall contractor is going way slow and in your way, you're going to be stuck on that project paying for everything anyway. So you better help these other trades and get everybody going as much as we can, the same speed, the same distance apart, flowing through the project.
To dig into that a little bit deeper, things that I heard from industry leaders about tact planning, business owners, would be like, well, what size project is it worth the effort? It seems, is the juice worth the squeeze? Do you do tact planning on every single project, or do you pick specific ones? And that would be from C-suite response to tact planning or tact conversations. And what you've kind of just talked about is the mindset of the field and convincing the field that this works. It's not just coordination and cooperation. It's planning together so that everyone is successful, which is a mindset shift, especially when you have multiple prime contractors who all have different contracts. So I would imagine supporting tact planning is easier if the owner buys in and constructs contracts to support the coordination and cooperation on the field level. But also, how do you convince that general contractor that works on the tightest of margins that implementing tact planning in their business, whether or not their owner wants it or their client is asking for it, is a good idea?
This is an amazing question. I'm just going to shoot it straight here because I don't want every contractor to implement tact. Anybody that's not committed to it, I want them to stay so far away from it that they never ruin its name. That's number one. Number two, I've never seen a contractor do well with tact planning if they didn't truly at their core care about people. Like, for instance, I'm reading a book right now that's fantastic. You probably read it, Holly. Everybody Matters. And
not yet.
It's such a fantastic book. In chapter 5, he talks about a lean consultant came and said, this is how you get more out of your people, right? And that's bad. Like, that was never what Japan was doing. Like, Japan has a fundamental, based on their, and I've done this research, based on their Shinto religious beliefs and backgrounds, which believes in the inherent value of all human beings and nature, have a culture of respect for people. And Frederick Taylor started to teach the principles of scientific management without respect for people. There are people that say that it was woven in there, but it's not. You hear him talk and you'll be disgusted. And that's where the United States went. And I love the United States. I think we're awesome. But we went down the road of people are just numbers and they're lazy and they don't want to work and they're not that smart and are they even human? Like, I've heard these things from United States superintendents. But when Japan took it, they took it with respect for people, meaning I'm going to do this because I care. I'm going to implement lean for the benefit of people. I'm going to make improvements because I don't want them, lifting this heavy piece of machinery all day because I want to maintain their body. Like, if you go there, you'll see that this is like the core of what they believe. And so the contractors in the United States and actually North America that do well with lean and tact planning are the ones that care about people. And I have never seen a company at their core that's focused only on numbers and business and their shareholders do well with it. And so I don't want them to touch it with a 10-foot pole. I don't want them anywhere near it. I don't want them to taint this awesome method. Let me just say one thing. James P. Womack wrote Lean Thinking and was a co-author of The Machine That Changed the World. I can't remember who it was. I think it was... Well, it was in a video that Paul Akers sent me. But James was surprised. Why has lean not changed the world? Why has it not changed the world? Why is it working in Japan, but it still doesn't work in the United States? It's because of our systems and our culture. And so every business system, every construction system is designed for lean to not work. 100%. Our contracts, our environments, 100%. And so I can't tell you how many brilliant people I've met that are lean geniuses that have even been fired from companies. And I'm like, how does that person get fired? It's because high-performing people do not like to work with mediocre people, and mediocre people do not like to work with high-performing people. And so I will not spend 1 second trying to convince anybody that loves the mediocre system and the money to try and do any of this, because I think it's to your point, it's harder. Like, implementing lean puts the work on leadership and the planners so that the workers can flow and have a stable environment. But most people don't want that. In fact, let me just tell you a quick story. I can't tell you the contractor, but it was on one of these massive data centers, $0.5 billion project, and then all three of them together were about somewhere around $5 billion. The senior scheduling director and the project director said this to me in a meeting. He said, when the general super wanted to bring us on to implement tax, he said, Jason, I will fire this is exactly how he said it. I will fire every worker on this site, all 15 workers and all of the trades, before I add 1 hour's worth of work to my scheduling team. And the scheduling director said, and that they didn't hire us. The scheduling director said this. He said, the problem isn't our plan. Workers and the trades just do not know how to follow the schedule. And I said, well, where's your schedule? Well, it would take us a while to explain it. It's about a 5-hour orientation process. We'd have to show you the model and take you into it. And I'm like, well, then you don't have a schedule or a plan. Yeah, we do. We have a plan. Okay, then show it to me. Well, we can't really show it to you because it would take 5 hours. I'm like, then you don't have a plan. Like, what do you mean you're going to blame the trade partners? Just to print out the summary parent activities for this data center was 260 pages. To print out all of the parent and child activities was 2,700 pages of schedule.
That's insane.
That is not a plan.
No.
And so, like, I don't want that job site with that leadership team touching tact at all. And so I'll say this, and this is some more hard truths that you already know that I'm going to say out loud on the podcast unless you cut it out. I never have trouble with trades. Never. Not once.
No.
Once you show them, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. And I personally believe, like, the industry is like, oh, we GCs are pulling it through the knothole with all these stupid trades. I think our trades are pretty brilliant and are always going the extra mile with a couple of exceptions. And they're trying to do their best in spite of the stupid systems that they're under. That's my perspective.